So here, Rachel Maddow does the great difference. Here is, you can't deny this fact. Here we go.
On earlier, who's in this interesting position because he's an independent, and Maine produces a lot of independents, but he's true blue independent. And he talked about how he sometimes works with people in Congress, and they say to him, I agree with you on the issues, but I cannot be seen to work with you, or that will be electoral trouble for me. That is only true among Republican politicians. He didn't say it that way, but I'm going to assert that. There is no Democratic base voter revulsion for Democrats who work with Republicans. Look at Bernie Sanders' campaign ads. He brags about doing legislation with Republicans, and he's the socialist. This is not something where the Democrats and the Republicans have equally rejected the idea of compromise. The Republican Party has.
Oh, nice.
So that's a great point, right? You hear that a lot. Republicans say, I agree with you, I'd like to work with you, but if I'm seen working with you, they'll kill me, they'll primary me, and I'm out. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, Vox had a story out today.
Really?
Yeah, a good one. Basically between 2007 and today for Democrats, for Republicans first, 58%. It goes up above 60 in 2011, and then back just below 60. Those are party members, Republicans, who say that they admire politicians who, quote, stick to their principles as opposed to who make compromises. Democrats are consistently throughout history a good, solid 20 points below that.
And
Democrats like people who make compromises. Republicans don't. Because inevitably, and this is part of this and why there'll never be a quite Democratic Tea Party, the parties don't mirror each other. There's no equivalent. When you make a compromise, it's inevitably a compromise that is a piece of legislation. It's public policy. And the Democrats are generally in favor of public policy because most public policy is an attempt to fix something that's wrong. And Republicans, they don't want to do that. If you believe them at their purest sense, just because they don't think government could fix things, I would say they think it's fixing things for people I don't care about. But so there is a permanent, significant difference. She's 100% right. We were the only people outraged when Barack Obama was trying to make compromises with Republicans because they were bad compromises.
Yes.
Not because the idea of compromise is wrong. I don't want him to stick to his principles. I want him to stick to a principle sometimes. A progressive principle sometimes, but by and large, we don't punish those people.
Right.
I disagree, Ben. I think that
more disagreement.
The reason why this dichotomy happens is because Democratic constituents look at their leaders and go, well, we want you to govern. Right. And I think Republican constituents look at their leaders and go, we want you to win.
That's right, but I mean, I think we agree on that. That's what I'm essentially saying. Because Democrats want to compromise because the public policy is governing. That's doing things. That's making government work for people. They like that.
Right, but I think that Republicans, it's not that they care about the policy per se. They just want people to win. They just want them to win every argument. And if you see this over and over again, where all of a sudden they've twisted their own beliefs and arguments to mean nothing.
Yeah,
so, here's what Steve Schmidt says back to that argument of Rachel Maddow, where she says the Republicans can't be seen working with Democrats.
Is he going to bring space back up again?
What does he say?
Is he going to bring space back up again?
Here we go. Here's his answer to that.
The problem in that sense is worse on the Republican side. That is only because, though, we have a Democratic president. When you had a Republican president, there were no incentives, and there was punitive action taken against Democrats like Joe Lieberman for working on national security issues with George W. Bush. So, you know, what corrects for that? Didn't end up being corrects for that is the
Joe Lieberman, who she just made the great point, ended up not being a Democrat.
Yeah, he left the party.
He left the party,
and in his case, he went to work with a president who started, at best, the worst foreign policy decision in 20th century American history. At worst, a wildly illegal war. So a leading Democrat who would run for vice president to lock arms with him and give that policy credibility. By the way, that also included torture. To give that policy credibility, you found the one time that Democrats were justifiably outraged at people.
Yes.
That does not rebut Angus King's point in any way.
Yeah. Yes. Very nice. Yes, that is correct. And so he's saying, well, it's just because we have a Democratic president, that's why the Republicans are obstructionists. And when the shoe's on the other foot, it happens. That's not true. If you go back to the stats of filibuster, we all know these stats, right? It skyrocketed. It almost tripled the amount of cloture votes and filibusters under Barack Obama. And we all know what Mitch McConnell said the night he was elected. We all know all this stuff, right? And so Steve Schmidt just goes on TV, and I guess that's just a weird job to have, that you have to be a professional liar. That's just weird. And you're not actually even in office. You're the guy who has to. Now you see why politicians are messed up. They have guys like Steve Schmidt, who's considered a good guy. He's considered a good guy, just revealing himself to be completely full of it. Just completely. And he does it with a straight face.
He's considered a good guy because he was pushed to the point where no man could possibly not break. But in all other measures, he's a professional political operative. And that's the thing about the Republican Party, is they're not, when they say politics, they mean the practice of winning elections. When we say politics, we mean the practice of making policy.
More often than they do.
More often.
Many of us are just interested in winning. Also, I think we have to concede that. But yes, they're more. Look, they want to govern. People, Chris Christie is paying in the Republican primary for making the hideous mistake of being a governor who governed for a while. Who was interested in governing. John Kasich is paying for governing, right? That's why those guys aren't getting any votes. The people who don't govern, the Ted Cruz, don't do it. Say no. Don't do it. Don't pass it. That's who wins.
Get rid of, don't give anybody health care in our state, and you'll win the next election. That's right. And so they do. John Kasich goes, I'm going to give him health care.
Right.
So, you're out. You're out.